Don't be judging people, because that same energy is going to come right back around to bite you in the butt. It has to. It's the law of karma. So energy flows where thought goes. Be careful where you intentionally put your thoughts. Thoughts also have biological consequences. They will determine, your thoughts are the energy, it's the petri dish or the environment in which your cells in your physical body live. It's the environment in which you create money and abundance. Katie says thoughts are electric, emotions are magnetic, emotions are energy in motion. So welcome everybody to Great Life, Greater Impact. We've had a lot of changes over the last few weeks. I am being guided to start investing more of my time into writing. And so that's why we've kind of pulled back the classes to every other week instead of every single Tuesday. So now both the healing sessions that we do after the free class and the free class, they will be at the same time, and they will be every other Tuesday. So if you are a member of my website, greatlifegreaterimpact.com, and you have purchased the members area, we're going to be doing the live healing sessions every other Tuesday, and they will be immediately after the hour's worth of class where we discuss these topics. So today we're going to be talking about how you can shift your reality, not just your focus, not just your perspective, not just your ideas, but how to shift your actual reality, and so that you can make a bigger impact in the world and experience the things that you came here to experience as a soul. So I'm excited and ready to talk about some of those things. And then immediately after we're done I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and some ideas, and mostly from this book that I left over there on that table that I need to go grab. So I'm going to grab it after I turn the time to you. Anne is going to kick us off with either a prayer or meditation and get us started so that we're in the right framework to share these sacred, I believe, sacred topics and keys to life. So take it away, Anne.
All right. Thank you, Janet. And so looking forward to the conversation. I would just like to start us off by just focusing on Christ consciousness within, because Christ lives within all of us, and it doesn't matter what we believe, there is that energy, if you will, of Christ consciousness within all of us. And so I'd like to start us off by taking a deep breath and following that breath within so that you can drop down to your heart center, to that place perhaps where that consciousness of Christ energy resides. Because as we all know, God, Christ, just the sacred and divine is within us. It is not somewhere out there. And just knowing that reminds us of the power we have, of the ability we have to create our own reality. So as you breathe in, follow that breath within and drop down to that sacred, divine Christ consciousness within. And it's from that place, from that energy, that we can not only expand that light, that consciousness within our own bodies, but we can extend that outside of ourselves. And so today, as we join together here, so that we can learn, we can grow, we can expand our awareness, let us extend that light and that energy to each one of us here in the group, and perhaps to those who will listen to this in the future. As we connect as a group, just know that that consciousness and that divine light expands and touches all of us so that we're all in harmony and in synchronicity. And as we come together, knowing that together the energy is so much more. So sending love, sending light to each person here, and having all of us open our hearts and just open up ourselves to receiving what Janet is sharing here today. So take a deep breath, bringing your awareness back and feeling that sacred divine light of Christ consciousness. Thank you.
Wow, you do such a good job of getting us there quickly. I love it. Thank you, Anne, for that.
Sure.
Thank you for helping us to get centered and grounded. Okay, so I want you to think about, here's a question that I'm going to pose before we jump into, because I really want to share with you why I felt to bring this topic to the table today into our meeting. And I mean, I've been asking for the last couple of weeks, what do you want me to share? What do you want us to talk about? What do you want us to be thinking about as we move forward as in a collective group and a community together? What would you like us to discuss? And the answer that came was, what you perceive is what you get. That was the answer. God's like, talk about this. What you perceive is what you get. So I want you guys to think about one thing in your life. And if you want to share it, feel free to share if you feel so inclined. You can drop it into the chat, or you can just open up your mic and tell me. What is one thing in your life that you have created, which basically everything in your life you've created, but what's one thing that's showing up for you in your life that you wish you hadn't created, that you wish it was different? One thing, just pick one thing. I'm going to give you a minute to just write it down, think about that. One thing in your life that you've created that you wish was different. And if you don't think you've created your situations and your scenarios and your experiences, think again, because we are creative beings. We have that kind of power. Everything that shows up in our life, we have co-created. We have drawn into our reality. So write that down. Give you another few seconds to think about it and jot it down. And then as soon as you have that, I want you to write down, how could this be different? Just write that phrase. In what way, or how could this be different? And I just want you to see it and picture the possibility of something being very different in your life. Think about the possibility of how could this be different? How can I change my thinking around this situation, this event, this problem? If it is a problem, maybe it isn't a problem. Maybe it's there for your learning. So if you're now just jumping on, we just had a couple people jump on. If you're now just joining us, I've asked you guys to write down one phrase. What is one thing in your life that you are experiencing or witnessing or having come into your life that you wish was different? And I'm going to rephrase that. What is one creation you have created that you wish was different, that you wish that you'd created in a different way? Pick one thing. And in your mind, as you're kind of thinking about possibilities, how could this be different? Okay. So talking about how to shift our reality then. So I want that to be at the forefront of your mind because I want you to use that as a springboard as we kind of discuss and go in further of talking about two principles. Usually I have a list of 12. Today, two things, two principles that I really want you to be willing to accept and embody. The first principle is what is creating your reality? Your thoughts. So Karen says lack of money is something she would like to be different. So what is creating the unfolding around money for you? It's your thoughts, and it's also your choices. So the way that you think will lead to what choices you then make. So for example, if I'm laying in bed and I just wake up and I have the thought to get up and go to the bathroom, I have to have that thought before my head lifts off the pillow and I make the choice to put my feet on the floor and walk to the next room. Because that was initiated by a thought, which was then followed up by a choice or an action step. So we're going to talk today about thoughts and actions. These are two of the most powerful creative forces or principles or keys in your life that are creating the reality that shows up for you. I also want you to remember, Anne touched on this a little bit when we went into our meditation, that talking about Christ consciousness, the kingdom of heaven is inside of you. The way that you connect to the kingdom of heaven is from going within. That is the way you connect to God. It's also the way that you channel other beings that are here to support you and help you and serve you. And they're there to love you and guide you, and they do. And they're not always from this dimension or this realm. They may be from all kinds of places swirling around in this vortex of the unseen world, but they're there, including that who we call Christ. They're all there to support you. So I just want us to remember that which you perceive, what you perceive is what you get. So if you don't like what you're getting, then like the obvious is we have to change our focus and our lens and our perception of how we're seeing and interpreting and visualizing the world around us and within us and our reality. What you convey, and these are principles and concepts that I got from this book, The Way of Mastery, and I'm going to share some quotes from here too. This is taken from chapter number 2, which is how to shift your reality. Well, I don't think they say it that way. Hold on. How do they talk about it in different, you create your experience is how it's worded in the book. So they're saying that your thoughts will then lead to the way that you express and communicate out into the universe and out into the world. And what you put out into the world, what you send out, is going to come back to you. It can't not, because that's divine law that nobody can change. Even God can't change those divine laws that the universe is governed by. So divine law states that what you put out has to come back in the form of lessons, learning, experience. So be careful what your thoughts are, even if you're judging someone or accusing someone or thinking unkind thoughts or perceiving or projecting onto other people. Be very careful about what you're putting out, because all that stuff has to come back to you by law. So we've talked about this concept before, but energy flows where thought goes. So if you don't want your energy flowing in the direction of hate, judgment, fear, unkindness, then don't project that out there onto other people. Don't be judging people, because that same energy is going to come right back around to bite you in the butt. It has to. It's the law of karma. So energy flows where thought goes. Be careful where you intentionally put your thoughts. Thoughts also have biological consequences. They will determine your thoughts are the energy. It's the petri dish or the environment in which your cells in your physical body live. It's the environment in which you create money and abundance. Katie says thoughts are electric, emotions are magnetic, emotions are energy in motion. Yes, that's so perfect. Thank you for sharing that. You can unmute to share that. I might not have heard you, but
Oh,
yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. So thoughts are actual energies. It is power. So when you put thoughts out there, when you put energy out there and it projects out into the universe, that's a form of communication. So you're communicating out, even if you're just thinking, even if you're sitting in a chair and you're thinking, that stupid neighbor of mine, their dog is always in my yard, blah, blah, blah. Even if you're just thinking those things, you're communicating energy that is at that vibration, and that vibration has to come back to you. So I want you to ask the question, what am I committed to communicating and putting out into the ether, into the universe? What am I committed to communicating? The second question I want you to ask yourself is, what will my creations or my communications, what will my thoughts, creations, and communications express to the universe about me? What are my creations that I'm making? Because your life is unfolding the way you created it and the way you designed it. So in what way is that telling on me? What does it say to me? What does it say about me? Your sense of existence, basically your life, is a feedback loop. So it's showing you the way that your life shows up, the way that your body shows up, the way that your health and all the things, the way that it materializes into physical form is telling you, it's giving you good feedback as to what your choices are. So remember, we're talking all about two things today, thoughts and choices. Thoughts lead to choices. Thoughts and choices together are creations. They're expressions of communication out into the universe. So every moment that you are allowing, every moment that you exist, really, you're allowing your thoughts and your choices to create your life, your body, your bones, the way that you express yourself, the way you are in relationship, the way you show up, the way you think about money, the way that your body experiences itself, either health in a sense of health or not health. So your life and your body is the effect of your thoughts and your choices. That's the point that I want to drive home today. And we could just end right now. That would really be all I want to cover today, is just your life is the effect, not the cause, but it is the effect of your thoughts and your choices. So here's a powerful truth from the book. You are pure spirit, undefiled and unaffected by anyone or anything. I mean, this is the truth. This isn't just a thought or an idea spun around by someone. This is an actual absolute truth that you are divine spirit, pure spirit, unaffected by anyone or anything. You can choose what thoughts to entertain and ultimately what effects play out from those thoughts. You are the creator of your life. So let's talk about choices for just a second. I want you to think about this question. Why do we make the choices that we make? What motivates the choices that we're making? Why do we make those choices? I can tell you this, you're motivated by either love, fear, or obligation, which is another level of fear. So you are making choices in your life every day, whether or not to take a drink of water, or whether or not to brush your teeth, or whether or not to go to work, pay your light bill. You are making choices every single day based on something that's motivating those thoughts or those choices. And this is interesting because I didn't I wasn't planning on intentionally putting this into the class today, but it was in here. And on top of that, those of us who live here in this home, we call it West Garden. Those of us who live here in this intentional community, we've all been learning a similar learning, which is God has been directing and guiding us to pay attention to our motives, the way, what is motivating our choices and our actions. Are we motivated by love? Are we motivated by fear or obligation? And it caused me to sit and ponder and reflect. I know that others in the household have been doing the same thing. They've been asking of the choices that I'm making in my life right now, what's the percentage that is being motivated or driven by obligation, and what percentage is being driven by love? So I sat with that a couple mornings ago and I jotted down, I did some muscle testing. I jotted down what I got. What were the percentages? And I realized there are things that happen in my life, choices that I have been making in my life, just automatic choices that I've made in my life based on obligation. And when you make choices based on obligation, you're choosing and creating from a low frequency. It's a low energy. And what you get back in return is not going to be optimal or as desirable as if you are making choices intentionally based in the fact that you're residing and motivated by love. It's very, very different energy. So peace flows into your life, bliss flows into your life, harmony, joy, all those good things will flow into your life when you're making thoughts or when you're making choices aligned with God and where your choices are founded in love, where you are aligned with God and not with men or women, not with humans. Not because somebody told you to do it, not because you're conforming, not because you feel pressure, not because you're scared that someone will see you in a different light or they'll judge you or maybe even persecute you because of the choices that you're making. So as you're thinking about that, then let's just go back into our body like Anne guided us to do in the beginning. Put your awareness inside of your body and let's just connect with your higher self. And I want you to think about these affirmations that I'm going to give you. Take a big breath in, release and let go. I am the creator of all that I think and see and experience. I am the creator. I choose. I decide. I am always free.
I am always free.
I am always free. Nothing impinges upon me
Nothing,
but the thoughts I have chosen to hold within. Nothing impinges upon me but the thoughts that I've chosen to hold on to inside of myself. Nothing imprisons me but the perception of imprisonment. Do you feel like you're in prison? Do you feel like you're held hostage? Do you feel like a slave to a system? Do you feel like a slave to a group of people or a mindset of people or, I don't know, whatever it might be? Your workplace, your religion, society, family? Are you enslaved by how people are putting the pressure on you to think a certain way or choose a certain way? Lastly, nothing limits me at any level or any dimension. And that is actually true if you're thinking from a place of truth and not ego, because the ego is scared that it's going to run out of time and it's going to lose something. And there's the threat of annihilation or that it could be destroyed or something bad will happen. That's ego. But that's not you. You aren't your ego. You are divine, infinite, intelligent spirit that is never ending, unchanging, eternal, infinite, which means you can't run out of time, you can't die, you can't lose anything, you cannot be in lack. It doesn't exist. That those things don't make sense to the infinite mind and the infinite self. So why not learn to put yourself back into wholeness or unity with the infinite self rather than the ego self that's running around constantly screaming out of fear that it's going to lose something or that there's some sort of threat. When your heart feels safe, it will embrace all things. It will trust all things. It will be in this sense of knowingness of all things, and it will eventually transcend all things, including suffering, when your heart is in a safe place. Why is that? Because it begins to assume full and complete responsibility for everything that is allowed to channel itself through you. Every energy, every thought, every perception. So when your heart feels safe, it will embrace all things, it will trust all things, and it will attract into your reality and your existence peace, because you realize, oh, there's no threat. I'm infinite. It starts to realize that you are experiencing something because you are the source of it. So I always used to tell people when I was in client sessions, you are responsible for everything in your life. And once you understand that on an infinite level, then you are responsible for everything in your life. The way that reality presents itself to you, you are responsible for that. It doesn't mean you're to blame for things that feel hard or difficult or scary or sad or abusive. It just means you're responsible for what you're going to do about it, to change it and to shift it, and to step outside of the energy that created that. So the way of the heart then is where you learn to transcend and dissolve all of these lower level perceptions, the way that you're looking at life, like I'm a victim, I'm a failure. We have to learn, if we're going to shift reality, conscious reality in our lives, and change something, make a big change in our lives, then we have to be able to put ourselves into a place where we can transcend and dissolve these lower vibrational thoughts and perceptions, the way that we're perceiving, because those things will form beliefs that aren't true. And you always create from where your beliefs are and your perception is. Always. You can't not do that. It's the way that you do create. It's the way the gods create. It's the way God created you, was from thoughts and perceptions and beliefs and love. So, anything in your life that is out of alignment with the one true voice of God within you, anything that's out of alignment with that is going to produce effects in your life that you will probably translate as suffering, or something uncomfortable, or something less desirable, or something you don't want, that you say that you don't want. Well, you created it because there is something inside of you that is out of alignment with pure absolute truth, the truth of God, the voice of God. Death is out of alignment with God. The perception of death is out of alignment with God. Sickness, disease, fear, guilt, shame, worry, all those things are out of alignment with your higher self, and therefore out of alignment with the mind and will of God. So what is in alignment then? How do we get our perceptions and our thoughts and our choices to be back in alignment with the absolute truth that is true, which is the voice, the mind, the will of God? How do we do that? Because truth is true always. It's not just sometimes true, it's always true. And all truth is in alignment with God. So, what is in alignment? Eternal life, infinity, eternity, no lack, peace, innocence, joy, forgiveness, gratitude, those high vibrational energies, love. Those things are in alignment. You can tell when you're in alignment with truth because it feels good. You can tell when you're connected to your higher self because it feels good. You can tell when you're not connected to your higher self because it doesn't. It doesn't feel good. So that which brings the highest levels of joy and bliss into your life, love, peace, joy. The scriptures, Galatians 5 talks about this. You can go read, even God himself has declared that the fruits of the Spirit are love, peace, joy. And the list is long. So anything that puts you into a state of charity, go to Corinthians 13, you can find it there. Patient, kind, loving, forgiving, long-suffering, meaning you're willing to go to the ends of the earth for love. You're willing to suffer long to be motivated by love for another. So those are the fruits: love, peace, joy. And the list is very long. You can go read about those in Holy Writ. But the highest bliss possible, those highest vibrations that can possibly be in your body, which flows from the mind and the will of God, then comes through that channel of within you that Anne put us into. It comes through the heart, through that channel, and it expresses itself outward from within you out into the field, and then it's manifest in the form of experience and the material world. It's manifest in the form of how your body shows up, how your bank account shows up, how your relationships show up. So when you're in alignment with truth, you're going to experience higher levels of bliss and joy and love and peace because it's flowing, it's channeling through you because you've allowed your perception and your thoughts to be elevated in that way. This is the key to happiness. It's an absolute key. Your happiness is found in choosing to restore perfect alignment with only God, with only the truth and the will and the mind of God. That's how perfect happiness comes to you. So I want you to repeat these phrases. Oh, Anne says, we are the creators of our reality, but that means we have to take responsibility, which can be difficult when our ego is at the forefront. Yeah, because your ego doesn't want to admit that you grew a garden that died and you failed. But that was still your creation. Like when you bake a cake and it turns out really good and it's delicious and everyone's talking about it, you are proud to own that creation because you did that. But when you bake a cake and it turns out to be a flop and it's terrible and nobody wants to eat it and you're embarrassed and ashamed about it, you don't want to own that. But the truth is, it's your creation. You still made it. And it's like that with everything that unfolds and manifests in our life. So I want you to say out loud, I am creating my own experiences, whether they're good ones or bad ones. I am creating my own experience. It takes great courage to look at all of the things that we have created and not be in a place of judgment. About 9 months ago, the Lord told me to love all things without judgment. That's difficult to do because you have to, if you're going to do that, you have to strip yourself of all ego because the ego wants to judge the hell out of everything and everyone. You're laughing. So the voice of ego emerges from, I'm not enough. I'm not safe. I'm not worthy. I'm not this. Something's wrong with me. That's all ego. I am not what I was created to be. I'm separate from what I want. Somebody took this from me and it's over there and I'm over here and there's this big chasm or this gap. That's ego. It's afraid. It's sad. It's alone. It's separate from everything that it wants. So when did that start? Let me ask you a question. Do you think babies have egos? Do you think that when you're holding a cute, chubby little baby in your arms, that little baby is thinking, I am a worthless piece of crap? Do you see my thighs? They're fat. Like, do you think babies are thinking about themselves in that way? I guarantee you they're not, because they have not developed ego yet. So when did the mind begin to identify as this voice that's telling you you're not enough and you're not worthy and you're not safe, you're not special, and you're not whatever, wealthy, abundant? That's not the voice of God. That's totally out of alignment with the voice and the mind and the heart and the will of God. So where in your life, can you look back? Where in your life did you begin to buy into the I'm not enoughs, the lack, the failure, the, the judgment? When did you start doing that to yourself? And can we reverse that now? Can we all just make an effort, an honest effort to say, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to see myself as a divine, infinite being that is innocent and pure, just like a baby. When you feel helpless and lonely and lost and sad and angry and full of despair and hate and fear, these are all symptoms of a delusional self. That's the ego. That's how you can tell you're connected to your ego and you're buying into the bullshit. It's not, the ego doesn't tell you anything really that's true. Hardly ever. So these occur, these problems, these delusions of I'm not safe, I'm helpless, I'm hopeless, I'm not enough, I'm this, I'm that. These happen because there's a long history in your life where you have cultivated this amazing skill of disapproving of yourself and listening to the wrong voice. So when are you going to stop doing that? And so it's what will it take for us, all of us, myself included, and feel free to answer this. What will it take for us to stop listening to ego and start listening to truth, which is the voice and the mind, the will of God? And how can we discern? How can you tell when it's ego versus truth? Any thoughts on that? What comes up for you guys? Feel free to speak it out.
I think
Ego.
we talked about this on a couple classes ago, but to know him and to love him, the more that we know the characteristics of Christ, then it's easier to emulate or try to walk in that behavior as it's being refined through us. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And what are those characteristics?
The fruits.
Yeah, it's the fruits.
It's the fruits.
It's the fruits. It's as simple as that. Yes. Karen, did you have something to add to that?
From what you're saying is ego is the low energy, the negative feelings of, when you're thinking, I don't think I can do this. And, how am I going to survive? Those are all lower energies. And that seems to be where I'm residing a lot of times.
Right. And so can you identify, oh, whoops, that's ego. And oh, whoops, again, that's a choice. I chose that. I opted in, but I don't have to choose that anymore. I could opt into something else and create a different perception. And did you have something?
Yes, I just wanted to say, for me, my experience with my ego, what worked best for me was I gave it a name, because I feel like ego is always going to push its way to the forefront. It's strong, it's within all of us, and it's going to keep wanting to find its way to the forefront and run things in our lives. So once I gave it a name, and I made a connection with it and listened to it,
Yeah.
I was now able to sort of guide it and say, you know what, you take a back seat. And by the way, my ego's name is Adonis.
Yeah.
So,
I love
and
that.
I think it's important to acknowledge all aspects of ourselves because, you know, we tend to want to sweep it under the rug. Oh, I don't want to experience that. I'm going to push that away. But I think whenever we force or push something away, it almost makes it stronger. So I think by acknowledging it and just having a relationship so that we can then take responsibility and make the choice to say, that's not what we want to do.
Right.
It's just my journey with the ego.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It reminds me of that which you resist persists.
Right, exactly.
I
Um,
found also too something that's been helpful for myself in my journey is whenever I identify the unhealthy fruit, it has a healthy fruit counterpart. And so
Right.
if I say personally, I come out of agreement with fear and I slay that with faith and I talk to it like that. I talk to myself like that. I come out of agreement with this anger and replace it with a better fruit of whatever I might need to feel. And God is so faithful that if we come out of alignment, come out of agreement with that, and put ourselves into the frequency of that good fruit, then
mhm.
it works.
Yeah, it does work. That's perfect. So perfect. Mike, did you have anything?
I just typed it in the chat, but one thing that I learned was ego stands for edging God out.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, all profound. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. So ego, something that I've noticed too that, you know, we were talking about that which we resist persists. So our experiences come into our lives like clouds come across the sky and then they dissolve and then they dissipate and they disappear. But what happens when we keep spiraling and cycling around in the same old patterns of suffering in and out of the same old thing? It's because we've latched onto a belief, a perception, or a fear that we haven't been willing to let go of yet. And so it's going to keep coming up. It's going to keep coming up until you choose to release and surrender and let go. Ego becomes identified with perceptions, feelings, experiences, all the stuff that's not comfortable. And sometimes if we're not careful, we can start identifying with those things as if, oh, this is my life, this is my lot. I'm not, I have no, there's no way out. I can't make a change. Nothing's ever going to change. And those experiences that are uncomfortable then begin to shape our identity about ourselves. So we have to ever be seeking alignment with the truth, which is love, joy, peace, abundance. But sometimes that can be a little bit scary because when you have to let go of something, especially if it's ego-based, sometimes we get scared. Ego gets scared because ego does not want to let go. Ego does not want to be annihilated. Ego does not want to die. And so I think we have to learn to love what comes. There's a really great phrase that says, come what may and love it. And so when we keep ourselves in that energy of love instead of lack, then those experiences will come into our lives. We're not attached to them. We're willing to surrender. We're willing to accept all things and embrace all things because the heart feels safe enough where it is. So learn how to love what comes. Much of our suffering comes because we're clinging to something. Okay, so how do we shift our thoughts and shift our choices and our perceptions so that we can experience the things in our life that we do want, so that we can shift our reality? If you guys have thoughts or ideas of exercises that we can do or that you do in your life, please share. Open up your mic or drop it into the chat, however what works best for you. But I do feel like having some sort of a daily practice that helps you master your awareness. And I think that awareness is the number one key. So cultivating the highest quality of awareness then, that's what's going to put you into the stable place of it is what it is and I'm okay. You could literally be, I tell people this all the time, when you're centered, when you're in that centered state, which I'm going to teach you guys some of the practices that I do when we get into the healing section of this class, the last hour. We're going to go into that a little bit deeper and experience it. But when you learn how to cultivate a higher perspective or higher perception or being in that state of centered, connected to the mind and will of God, you stabilize your awareness. You heighten your awareness actually, but you stabilize it so that literally you could be walking through a minefield and bombs are going off all around you. And you're in this state of, it is what it is. I didn't create that. It is what it is. And I'm okay. I'm okay. So I'm not going to create more of what's going on outside of me by latching onto it through fear. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's the reason why we need a daily practice, because we as human beings in these egoic bodies and these fallen bodies and in society and culture and programming and all the things that come at us to say, you're doing it wrong. You're not supposed to live like that. You're not supposed to choose like that. You're not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to be this over here. And if you're not this over here, we're going to shame you, shun you, and reject you. And we're going to define you. So this is why we have to practice cultivating conscious awareness, because there's so much programming that's subconscious that's being projected onto us in this world, that it puts us in ego all the time. We're in ego all the time, more than we think that we are. If you're following after society's rules or the authority of men and what they say is good, bad, right, or wrong, you're being conditioned. You're not exercising your own agency and your own conscious awareness. So that's key number one. That's why we have to practice at it, because we've practiced being conditioned and programmed our whole lives. And why? Why would we practice this? Oh, Mike shared a great 5-minute meditation in the chat. You guys might want to go copy and paste that or copy it so that you have it. Why do we practice this? So that we can experience whatever arises in the external world. We don't get to control the outside world, but so that we can experience what comes with more ease and stability and peace and love and trust and faith and certainty. That's why. It's so we can suffer less. I know people who have gone through really, really difficult, hard things that most people would consider to be great suffering, but I've seen them evolve, shift their conscious awareness, and act as if they're having a really good day, because they actually are. So even if bombs are going off, it is what it is. And it's in that daily practice of cultivating a higher quality, I guess, of awareness, that you're going to experience greater levels of peace and joy and fulfillment and uninterrupted communion with God. So the ego, here's how we can start in our awareness journey, is to recognize that the ego creates separation, lack, conflict, fear, and the not enoughs. So that is the kingdom of fear over here, which is ego. Then on this side over here, we have the kingdom of heaven, which is love, unity, peace, freedom, joy, all the things that feel delicious to our souls. That's the kingdom of heaven, and it's within you. But there's also the kingdom of fear, and there's this little needle, this little eye of the needle. How do we go through the eye of the needle to get into that kingdom of heaven? I'm going to give you 7 steps or points. Step 1, become innocent. Like the baby that you hold in your arms that is not thinking about its fat, chubby thighs or its bald head. It's not thinking that it's ugly or that it lacks or that it's not enough or that it has a fat tummy. It doesn't think about any of that. It's not identifying itself with the body. That baby is happy and smiley just because it is. I just am. So become as a little child. When you are born, there is no ego. So see if you can get back to that state of awareness where you live in wonder and curiosity and you become innocent and there is no judgment. A baby is not looking up into your eyes and judging you for all the wrinkles that you have on your face. Babies don't do that. So become innocent as a child. 2, become present, become aware, become someone who is choosing and opting to live in the present moment now. So become present, become aware. Stop right now. Drop everything that you're doing in this class, even right now, and let's just become very present and aware. How do we do that? The best way to become present and aware is to slow down. Slow your movements. Slow down your thinking. Be still, says Katie. Be still. So close your eyes. Do what Anne directed us to do at the beginning of this class and go into your body deeply and be still. I'm going to teach you a tool that will help you to become more present than you were 5 seconds ago. So I want you to move your hand, raise your arm, do some kind of movement with your body. But here's an example. If I were to move my hand and raise it above my head, I would do it so slowly that it would take me 10 hours for it to get from here to here. So it's moving so slow, no one would even know that it's moving. Slower, 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 so that if people were looking at you, they wouldn't even know that there is movement happening. Slow those movements way down so that if your finger moved from down here to up here, it would take 10 hours to get there. Slow the movement. Become aware. Become aware of your body. Become aware of your desire to move. Feel the weight of your body. Notice if there's tension. And just be here now with your body and with that slow, quiet movement. Breathe. Be here now. That's how you do it. Number 3, become aware of your choices. This might be a little bit more tricky than becoming aware of your body movements and your thoughts, but become aware of the things that you're choosing. And why are you choosing? What is motivating your choices? Is it love? Is it fear? Is it ego? Is it obligation? And as you become more willing to train yourself to be aware of your choices and your motives for those choices, decide to accept that where you are now in your life is where you have chosen to be. It's based on the thoughts that produced choices that moved to actions, and those actions led you to this place that you're at right now. Your choices led you here. So decide to accept that where you're at right now is where you have chosen to be. There is no other cause for the things that are happening in your life. You are the cause. When I took my certification in Ho'oponopono, Dr. Hugh Len said, Have you ever noticed that everywhere you go and there is a problem, you're always there? So he said, you are the problem. You are the problem. And once you understand that and recognize that, then you can step into the power that is yours to create a change. So not only do you get to be the problem in your life, but you also get to be the solution to those problems. You're a powerful creator. You created a disgusting cake, but you can also create a delicious one. You created a dead, wilting garden, but you can also shift and change the way that you chose or the way that you operated to create one that's good by simply practicing and exercising your ability to choose. So, number 4, own it. Own your creations. Take 100% full and complete responsibility for that which you have made in your life. Don't judge it. Just claim it and own it and say, yep, I did that. I did do that. But that doesn't mean you have to beat yourself up if you did something not desirable. You don't have to be cruel to yourself. But at the bare minimum, own what you have made. Don't judge it. Don't ask for it to be different. Just be aware of what is. Just be aware. This is how you cultivate a higher quality of awareness in your life. And you need that if you're going to change your thinking and your choices and your reality, because it ripples down through all that stuff. So, also, God created you, and God created the earth and separated the day from the night and the dark from the light and the land from the water and all the things, and created all these things. Organized, I'll say, organized all these things. And then what did God do when he was done with the organizing of matter and material and the forming of these things? He rejoiced. He marveled in his creation, his and her. I do believe that it was a joint effort. Both father and a mother created you and this world. So marvel at what you've made, even if you don't think it's very good. Marvel at it, own it, take responsibility for what you've created, and see just how powerful you are to create. Life is inviting us to learn. And we're being invited to learn to create as God creates. And how does God create? He's very intentional. He's very aware. He, she, they are very aware of what they're creating and why they're creating it. It didn't just explode and happen. And God's also not there sitting around going, I wonder if I'm worthy to create a solar system today. I wonder if I'm good enough. I wonder if I can actually do it. He doesn't go there. So I believe God marvels at you, and you are his greatest creation. And I do believe that the Christ and God marvel at you. So marvel at the creations and the things that you have made in your life. So a principle that helps us understand that is that what you decree, remember how we talked about our thoughts and our choices, that's what we put out into the universe. That's what we're declaring. That's what we're saying that we want. That's what we're saying that we want to come back to us. So be careful about the way you think, the way that you judge, the way that you choose, the way that you act, the way that you respond, the way that you treat people, the way that you treat nature and animals. Be careful about that. Be very mindful and very aware about that, because what you decree in the way that you treat your life and yourself and your body and others. What you decree is, that is a creation that you have made. And since you have decreed it and put it out into the universe, now you have to own it. I mean, you don't have to, but it's yours regardless. You can be unconscious if you want to. But the power to create flows through you now in every moment, every choice, every thought, every judgment, every motive. The power to create is in you now. 5, choose each day to cultivate a daily practice like we're talking about. Have some things that you can do on a regular basis to create more awareness, to understand your motivations, your intentions. If you have to journal some of this stuff out to get more clarity about what your thoughts are and what you're thinking, do it, whatever it takes. Here's a really good exercise that we could do. Do it set aside a day where you can do this every hour, on the hour. Set aside 3 to 5 minutes where you just go back within, get centered, put your awareness inside your body and drop your shoulders down. Go into that stillness. Take about a minute to get there. Bring your awareness into the moment that you're experiencing right now. Just come in, be in the now. So as you think about your day and how your day is going to unfold from here on out after this class, in the hustle and the bustle and the grocery shopping and the going to work and dealing with children or other people, I want you to focus on 3 to 5 minutes every hour of just being aware. Sit and be present with those that you're with. Notice all the details, the sounds, the smells. Come into that present moment. Move your arm at a slow state in order to come into the now. But focus on being present and aware. And I want you to say, I am literally the creator of what I'm experiencing. Even if it's walking through the parking lot at Walmart, I'm creating this. I'm doing the walking. I'm doing the acting. I'm doing the choosing and the thinking. I am the creator of it. Your millions and millions of little teeny choices that you make, right from the choice of drinking a glass of water to lifting your head up from the pillow in the morning. Every one of those millions of little choices adds up. And it creates the experiences of how your life manifests and unfolds. So your life is not happening to you by accident. It's happening to you by choice. Millions of choices. So the thought that is yours is penetrating what you call your conscious awareness. Every thought that you have is penetrating your conscious awareness and your actions. It's coming from the depths of your mind. And that sits right next to the mind and the will of God.
I have something to add to the daily practice that I do that I would love to share.
Yeah.
If that would be okay.
Yes.
So in Ephesians 6:12, he says to put on our full armor every day. And so every morning, whenever I get up and I'm about to face my day, and I do this with my child too, we put on our full armor. We prophetically put on the full armor of God, and to know what that means is to walk forth in him and through him each day. And so the full armor looks like our belt of truth, our breastplate of righteousness, our helmet of salvation, our gospel shoes of peace, our sword of the word, and our shield of faith. And to prophetically put that on as an act of faith moving forward. Like we put our regular clothes on, but we can put our spiritual clothes on to go forth to protect that good fruit that he put within us. And as our body interfaces with our environment through the day, we know that we started our day with our full armor on. And
Yeah.
it's just a
Yeah.
good way to
I
start
do
the
that.
day
I
and
do that
protect our
too.
food.
I have all of those written on my whiteboard every morning. So it's the first thing that I look at in the morning is the full armor of God. And I do put those things on intentionally. And so, yeah, being intentional is a really powerful way to live your life. And like I talked about earlier, your thoughts, God speaks to you through the figments of your imagination and your thoughts. And so, learning how to discern what's coming from ego and what's coming from the kingdom of God, because they operate right next to each other. And so having that ability to practice and notice your thoughts and notice where your thoughts are coming from. Another good thing to practice too is if you're going to be journaling out some of these thoughts that come to you throughout the day, write down a thought or two that pops into your mind. Like, I should go make a sandwich. Okay, how was that thought motivated? Is it motivated by love, ego, fear? What is driving the thought? What is driving the choice to act on those thoughts? And that will help you to have a higher quality of awareness and consciousness as you move about your day so that you're aware of why you're doing certain things. And it's coming from the depths of your mind, and also you're training yourself to come from the mind and the will of God. So the power to generate every single thought comes when you practice. And then those thoughts will then produce effects, which is the way your life unfolds. You are linked to the mind and the will of God eternally. Cherise says, love that, the armor of God every day. Yes. Yeah. You are linked to the mind and will of God. And let me just read this quote. This is from the book. The power to generate that very thought is the effect of God's will entering into your field of being and penetrating the veils of distraction and shining forth as the thought. You are linked to the mind and will of God. God knows how to bring you back to complete freedom, to perfect peace, and to the mastery of this realm. And how do we master this realm? By having a heightened sense of awareness. That's how we master it. Okay, number 6. Those who truly love God will be motivated by his love in all that they do. And you can only be motivated by that if you are aware of what the thoughts are that are coming into your mind. People who are motivated by God's love will feel compelled. They'll feel a sense of something pulling them in a certain direction. So to master this and to have the way of mastery then is to have greater levels of awareness. And the only way to do that is to set aside times throughout your day where you're practicing it, where you're practicing the awareness of every thought and the awareness of your breath and your body and your environment. The awareness that everything that arises, you created. Everything that arises, you created. We talked about 3 to 5 minutes every hour. Maybe take a day where you can set a timer and you just get back into center and go back in. Bring yourself back to that place of alignment and where you feel into the stillness, where you're more relaxed and where you can just be you. You're not focusing on the hustle and the bustle and the have to do's and the need to do's and all of that stuff. Never allow the thought to come into your mind, I have to, I need to, I've got to. It's what I have to do. I don't have a choice. Accept that you are a creator. You are the creator of your life, bringing forth every experience. You're calling forth every experience into your daily life. You are the creator. So as you bring yourself back into center, you step into that beingness once again, then you can accept full and complete responsibility for everything that you are choosing to create, whether you're aware of the choices you're making or the thoughts that are coming or not. As you accept that responsibility and you accept the fact that you are the creator, you bring that awareness into your bones and your cells and your interactions with other people and your abundance, your bank account. But never allow the thoughts to come into your mind ever again of, I ought to, I should, I must, I have to. That's a sense of duty. When you do things from a sense of duty, you're operating not from a place of creation, you're operating from a place of obligation, and it's a lower frequency. And it leaves you in the victim space, which will then cause a lot of suffering because you feel powerless, because you're not recognizing that you are creating every minute, every second of every day. So what I want you to do, here's a great exercise you could do. Write down on a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, I ought to, I should, I must, I have to, I have no choice. Write those things down and then burn that paper and watch it return to dust. And then make a covenant with yourself that you will never act out of obligation or duty again. It's going to take some practice. It's going to take some awareness. It's going to take some intention. But that's the way to mastery. Okay, clear these words from your consciousness and be aware of the words that you use. What are the words that you use on a daily basis that you're putting out there? Do you use words like, I hate this? I don't want this. I don't like this. I have to. I should. I need to. So you don't need to do anything. In fact, write down on your new piece of paper, I need do nothing. That's the phrase that comes out of this book is, I need to do nothing. I don't need to do anything. It's a choice, what you're doing. You're not being compelled by some unseen force that is forcing you and manipulating you. You are choosing. You don't need to survive. Who told you you have to do that? You don't need to. You don't have to make other people happy. Who told you that you had to do that? You don't have to be a body that occupies time and space. You don't have to be a body. Who told you that you had to be that? You don't need to pay your bills. And then I can hear all of you in the background saying, yes, I do. I have these responsibilities and, and I'm in debt and all the things. Well, I mean, those are because of choices that you made. But you don't need to pay your bills. You choose to pay them. You choose to move in that direction. Do you see the difference? There's a big difference.
So is it okay?
Go ahead.
Is it okay to say I choose?
Yes. Yeah.
I choose to make money so I can pay my bills, and I choose to be happy about it.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's on you. If that's what you want to choose, then choose that and say it. And but mean it when you say it.
Okay.
Because if you're saying it out of duty or obligation or out of fear or that, it's not going to have an impact on your life. Not at all. So make sure that your choices are being motivated by love and not fear. I'm going to read to you a quote from this book. I thought this was really good. It says, needing is quite different than wanting or choosing to do something. You don't need to love your parents. You don't need to honor your father and your mother. You don't need to worship me or love me, meaning this is coming from Christ. You don't need to love yourself. You literally need do nothing for need. Need is an expression of the perception that there is something that you lack. And because you are one with God, there is never a moment when you lack anything at all. I need do nothing. Can you allow the thought to emerge in your mind? And when you arise in the morning, say, I don't have to get out of bed. I don't have to go to the office. I don't need to fulfill that order. I don't need to say good morning to my mate. I literally need do nothing. It's all choices that you're making. You're not being compelled by an unseen force. So I want you to write down on a piece of paper. We're going to go into some of the healing aspect of this session right now. So I want you to write down on a piece of paper, who's governing your thoughts? Who's governing your beliefs? Who decides and dictates your behaviors and your actions and your activities? Who's deciding that? Who's governing that? Who is in charge of that? Is it you? Is it obligation? Is it fear? Is it society, religion, programming, government, conformity? Who decides and dictates your behaviors and your thoughts and your choices? Who told you that you needed to toil the way that you do in order to survive one more day on the earth? Who told you that you needed to do that? Have you ever noticed that we've as humanity, we've gotten ourselves wrapped up in this prison-like system where we feel we have to get a job, or we have to get an education so we can get a good job, and then we have to get a good job so that we can buy a nice house, and then we have to buy a nice house so that we can put a roof over our families' heads and provide for our families and do it the way society says to do it, but not the way that the animal kingdom does it. But that we have to do it this way. We ought to do it this way. We're motivated by obligation because that's what conformity says and programming says. And as a result, before you know it, you're a slave. You're a slave to the system, to your job, to getting a job, to getting an education. You're a slave to all of it because you have to pay for it. And now you're a slave to money. You don't have to do that just so that you can eat food and have shelter over your head. There are other ways to go about doing those things. But because the programming and the pressure is so deep to conform to the rest of the society and the rest of the world, that programming is so thick and so deep, we feel we have to. No, you don't. If the whole city that you live in and the whole world that you live in burned down tomorrow, you would still be on the planet. You would still figure out a way to put something in your mouth to sustain you and something on your body to cover you. And even then, you don't have to do that either. Do you see how conditioning and programming has conditioned us to be slaves to this system of going out into the world and getting all this money so that we can have a house, so that we can pay the bills, so that we can get some food, so that we can just live? That's all we're doing. Is we're slaves to a system that says, here you go, now you can just live and eke out an existence. Nonsense. Okay. The book says there is no freedom where there is need. Because again, that's lack and it's coming from ego. I'm going to give you guys some affirmations. I want you to close your eyes. I'm just going to give you some affirmations. Close your eyes, go back into your body and just breathe into the body and slowing it all down. I am created exactly as God created me to be. I am free. Just get into your body and think about these as I read them to you. Nothing sources my experience or is at the source of my experience but me in each exact moment. Nothing has an effect upon me unless I choose to allow it to affect me. I need do nothing, just be. Be here, be now, be in the moment, and choose. Let your doing arise from your being, from that place of love inside of yourself, love for yourself and love for other people, not from a place of obligation. Cultivate these thoughts morning and night and every time in between. And what this will do is that it will shock your ego mind into making some changes and being subject to your higher self. Because your ego mind is busy going, but I have to do all these things. I have to get this stuff done. So ask yourself, will the world stop spinning if I stop needing? I need do nothing. So take the word need out of your vocabulary. Don't use it anymore. So I want you to practice these two axioms or principles. Number one, I'm perfectly created. And number two, I don't need to do anything. I need do nothing, which doesn't mean that you just sit there in the world like a bump on a log and you ask for everybody to serve you. It doesn't mean that. It means you don't do things from a place of neediness or wantiness or separation or lack. You do it from a place of choice. And the choice is motivated by love, not obligation or fear. So those are the two things. Accept the fact that you're perfectly made and you're right where you're supposed to be. Number two, you don't need do anything. Make these the anchor of your awareness. If you'll do that, you can put your ego in the back seat really quickly. And when we become anchored in these two axioms or these two beliefs, you literally have the power now to create the kind of life that you actually desire. Because you're coming from a place of love. You're creating from a place of love and not fear, from freedom and pure intent. That's how God created this world. And that's how God created you, was from love and pure intent and intense conscious awareness. When you start doing that, then you'll start noticing miracles at a high level appearing in your life, and you'll recognize them as miracles. This is how the gods create. It's conscious, it's intentional, it's on purpose, it's motivated by love. So mastery then, self-mastery in this world comes when you know that you are deliberately creating. Every second of every day, you're deliberately doing it. No one's making you. You will once you get into that state, coming from your higher self, you'll decree a thing and it will be so. You'll say, mountain, move, and the mountain will move. You'll say to your cells, be in love, and your cells will be healed. Because they're not operating in fear anymore. So every creation of God's is deliberate. And it's born out of pure radiance of love. God never wonders if he's worthy to create. He thinks it, he decrees it, he looks upon it, and then he declares, it is good. That which I just created, it is good. So here's another exercise that we can go into. And then I'm going to take you right into point number 7, and then we'll be done. Exercise. Choose something that you do every day that you're convinced is utterly ordinary, like taking a drink of water, brushing your teeth, yawning, taking a shower, and decide to make that ordinary thing your main focal point. Put all of your attention, all of your awareness on it, and do it from a place of love. Brushing your teeth, taking a breath, yawning, drinking some water, walking outside, going to the store, getting up in the morning. Something that is so mundane, make that your absolute focal point, put all of your attention there and be intentional about it, but do it from a place of love. And when you start training yourself to do that more and more and more, you become a powerful creator because you recognize that you're creating all the time. And then when you're done putting your focal point there and your awareness there, and you've created that, you drank that water, you put the intention into the water, then say, it is good. I did good. I've done this and it is good. Be conscious and enjoy your creations. Pay no attention. I think this is key too, but don't pay attention to what people think about you. Don't pay attention to, am I going to fit in? Are they going to judge me? Are they going to persecute me? Are people going to shame me or hate me or shun me just because I'm choosing to go in the direction that my spirit is leading me? Is God guiding you to do something or say something that seems a little bit out of conformity? Don't pay attention to what other people think, or whether or not you'll be accepted or included or invited or loved. Don't pay attention to that. Who cares? You do you. Number 7, this is the last point for today. What fears are blocking you from creating the life that you desire? Where's the resistance coming up for you? Because we talked about what you resist will persist, and it will it'll manifest, not just persist, it will manifest into your field, into form. So what fears are blocking you from creating the absolute life that you love? So fear is out of alignment with the kingdom of truth. It doesn't align. That's ego. So instead, can we step through the doorway of faith instead of the doorway of fear? Could we step into the doorway of trust and faith in God, that God's got your back and God's going to guide you, and your higher self is perfectly capable of connecting to the mind and will of God, so you can move in that direction, you can step into that doorway of faith? This is true freedom, especially if you've let go of what other people think about it and you're not worried about those things. That's freedom. That's perfect power that will produce perfect peace, love, joy, all the things that you want, all the things that materialize, that feed your soul and allow you to step into the kingdom of heaven. All right, let's step into our center right now. So I want you to just slow down. This is going to be our closing prayer for the day. I want you to go into prayer mode. You can call it meditation too, if you want, if prayer is a trigger word for you.
Hey, Janet.
Yes.
I feel the need to read something from the word, and you just, and I just, can I just read it, please? Okay.
I would
It's just a
love that.
line. He showed it to me this morning, and I knew it was for this class, and that it will be perfect right now to go into that time of being centered. But it comes from Psalms 86 and in verse 10, and he says, "You are the one and only God. What miracles, what wonders, what greatness belongs to you. Teach me more about you, how you work and how you move, so I can walk onward in your truth until everything within me brings honor to your name. With all my heart and passion, I thank you, God. I will give glory to your name always and forever, because you love me so much and you have placed your greatness upon me. You rescued me from the deepest place of darkness, and you have delivered me from certain death."
Oh, is that so delicious to hear? That's exactly how I feel about it too. That's pure intention. That's being motivated consciously by love, the
Yes.
love of God, the love of self, which then translates out and ripples out into the love of other beings.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to hold space for other people who maybe can't hold that kind of space for you, but you'll be able to be in that place of godly love because God's love is flowing through you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Katie. Thank you. Thank you. I really have to say, I really appreciate that you bring in the word into these discussions. From the Bible, from the Holy Writ, because there's something powerful and healing and energizing, and there's a vibrational frequency that comes through the Word and through the Holy Writ. So I want you to ponder on those words then that we just heard from Katie, and breathe into your body, breathing in God. You be you and act accordingly. That's the secret. to changing your life. So I invite you and encourage you to go out and create a greater life and make a greater impact today and tomorrow and for the rest of the year. Thanks for being here. Have a blessed rest of your day. Mwah. Bye, everybody. Nobody has epiphanies to share today.
I just had a powerful connection to my I amness, and I'm really grateful for that, because it's connecting me to a sense of worth that I think I've often struggled with, a sense of worth in being just who I am instead of living up to various expectations to get my worth, you know.
Wow.
And that's it feels really, really good.
Yeah, it does feel really, really good because that good feeling is who you are. You're connecting to you, the God within you that is worthy, that is safe, that is lovable, that is enough. All of the truth, you're aligning with truth finally for the first time. Isn't it interesting how the world conditions us to be not enough, to be in a state of lack and separation, and you don't have what you want, and you'll never have what you want? That's all ego. And it's not true, and it's not you. So this is a profound experience of healing and connecting. Thank you for sharing that. That is a huge win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really big.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on today. I noticed that there's a lot of new faces on today. We love you. We want to welcome you to the community. We are here every other week. So 2 weeks from now, we're going to be doing this again. Watch for the invites to be in your inbox. If you're not getting the invites in your email, you need to go over to greatlifegreaterimpact.com and just subscribe. Put in your name and your email and subscribe to the email list, and you'll get those notifications right in your inbox. In fact, the Zoom link will be sent right to your inbox. You can also get them over on Facebook. If you follow me on Facebook, you can get them there as well. You guys, thanks for being a part of this community. Thank you for all that you do to contribute. Every voice matters. And so when you feel compelled to share, it's because you're supposed to. And so I'm really grateful that you do. I'll really do my best to try to talk less and give you guys more space to share, but to get
Of course.
opportunities to surrender. Hello there, Michael, Idaho. Oh, San
Hello.
Francisco.
He's in San Francisco.
You're looking very dapper this morning. Yeah, or unless there's stuff that you guys want to share, you're more than welcome to talk to me about some of your wins. What awesome things are happening to you, and maybe not so awesome.